Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, back with another Calgary sports video here. Once again, talking NLL lacrosse and the Calgary Roughnecks here, as actually the other day there on Tuesday, July the 9th, as last week I posted a video looking at the NLL expansion draft when it concerns the Calgary Roughnecks. Well, now I'll be recapping the entire NLL expansion draft here and who got claimed by the Rochester Knighthawks and the New York Riptide, who are the two new teams coming into the NLL for the 1920 season here, as now the league expands from 11 to 13 teams here. And in case you're wondering here, the Rochester Knighthawks is a brand new franchise, which the original franchise of the Rochester Knighthawks are relocating to Halifax to become the Halifax Thunderbirds, and all intellectual property, championships, records, and all that goes actually to Halifax. So this is a brand new Rochester Knighthawks team, and as they decided in Game 1 at halftime of the NLL Finals, and it happened in Buffalo there, is when it was the Buffalo Bandits and the Calgary Roughnecks playing. They decided on a coin flip, and that the Rochester Knighthawks will get the first pick in the expansion draft here. And it's been a couple of days since the expansion draft. I've been busy with work and all that. I mean, I don't do this as a full-time career. Definitely not big enough yet to maybe do this full-time, but in a way, it's worked out that it was a good thing I waited a couple of days here, because sometimes what happens in expansion drafts here is that trades happen where players get claimed might get required here. And in case of these guys, there's definitely one guy that got plucked, but actually has come back to the said Calgary Roughnecks here. So let's bring up here, well, the best source that I actually found that broke down all the picks, and I broke down by the position and the team that they came from, was the graphic that if you go on NLL on Twitter here. So I'm going to read off what the graphic here on the Twitter here. And there was a couple trades that happened at the draft, and a trade that actually happened today as of this recording that actually affects these guys. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if you like everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you like, subscribe, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back here. So anyway, the Rochester Knighthawks had the first pick in the draft here, and the Rochester Knighthawks with their first pick, they took Sean Evans, forward of the Buffalo Bandits here. So that was the very first pick in the 2019 NL expansion draft here. And then the New York Riptide with their first pick in the first round, they selected Jordan Durston, forward from the Buffalo Bandits there. So two players got, first two pairs were from the runner-ups, the Buffalo Bandits here. So now, the second round here, or in the second pick, the Rochester Knighthawks actually picked former Roughneck here, Holden Catoni, forward, who used to be with Georgia Swarm there. And then to wrap up the second round here, the New York Riptide also picked a player from the Georgia Swarm, defenseman John Rangagan. So Buffalo and Georgia have had their players picked. As the rules go, is that no team can lose more than two players, and there's 11 rounds here because there's 11 teams here. So on to the third round here, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Rylan Hartley, a goalie from the San Diego Seals there. And then to end the third round, the New York Riptide selected Connor Kelly, forward of the San Diego Seals here. So it seemed like the first few rounds here, they just focused on one team here, which I guess in some way it's easier to follow, but doesn't exactly flow that way, because if you remember last year's expansion draft, you go to that video there, it didn't go exactly that way, and actually the Roughnecks, when they lost their two players, were both going to San Diego. Speaking of the Roughnecks here, round 4, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Shane Stinson, the defenseman from my Roughnecks. So yeah, we lost him here, a rookie that we drafted last year. And then the New York Riptide actually selected our captain, Dan McRae, the defenseman from the Calgary Roughnecks here. So best of luck to you, Shane and Dan, as go on to your new adventure here. So that's up to round 4. So round 5, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Curtis Knight, forward from the Saskatchewan Rush here. And then the New York Riptide in the 5th round selected Jeff Cornwall, transition player, also from the Saskatchewan Rush here. So round 6, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Dan Linter, forward from the Toronto Rock here. And then for the New York Riptide, Kieran McArdle, forward from the Toronto Rock, was also selected. So that's up to round 6 here. So round 7, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Frank Brown, the transition from the Philadelphia Wings here. And then for the New York Riptide here, this is where the pattern ended about focusing on a team here, as actually the New York Riptide selected Mike Manley, a defenseman, who is now who used to be property of the Halifax Thunderbirds, who were the Rochester Knighthawks last year, so he doesn't have to go too far at the end of the day here. So that's round 7. So round 8 here, the Rochester Knighthawks selected their second player from the Philadelphia Wings here, Matthew Bennett, defense from the Philadelphia Wings. And then for the New York Riptide here, they selected their second player from the Halifax Thunderbirds, Dawson Theeds, forward from the Halifax Thunderbirds. So we've got 2 Wings are going to the Rochester Knighthawks, and 2 Thunderbirds going to the New York Riptide here. So I mean, each team can only lose 2 players and how the rules work, but it's just interesting here. Now the 9th round here, the Rochester Knighthawks selected Slee Fryer, a goalie from the Colorado Mammoth there. And then the New York Riptide doesn't have far to go. Tyler Digby, forward of the New England Black Wolves, is going to the New York Riptide here, so that's round 9. Round 10 for the Rochester Knighthawks, they also went to Colorado again, as they selected Chris Wardo, forward from the Colorado Mammoth. And then the New York Riptide once again went to the New England Black Wolves, selected Alex Buke, the goalie from the New England Black Wolves. And now for round 11, to wrap up the expansion draft here, which is the last team that hasn't had players plucked, is from the Vancouver Warriors here. So the Rochester Knighthawks, with their 11th round pick, selected Brandon Goodwin, transition, from the Vancouver Warriors. And then the last player to be selected in the 2019 NLL expansion draft is Jean-Luc Chatner, forward of the Vancouver Warriors there. So those are the players for the record that have been selected in the 2019 NLL draft here. However, do have some trades that have happened where some players in some cases have come back to the team that they got plucked from. So let's bring, oops, the screen just went black on me, so I'm lucky here. So now there were a couple trades that happened at the draft here, and then the next trade, which we'll talk about, would be the Calgary Roughnecks trade. So let's bring up my trades here, because there were 2 trades that happened on at the expansion draft here, as the bring up my notes here. Bear with me here. So let's take a look at the 2 trades here that were made at the expansion draft. As there we go. So the first trade that happened is that the Rochester Knighthawks traded Chris Wardo, the guy that they plucked from the Colorado Mammoth. He's going back to the Colorado Mammoth in exchange for Julian Guitarno and Mike Mallory. So that's the first trade that happened. And then the Rochester Knighthawks, who recently picked up Mike Mallory from the trade in the Colorado Mammoth, they traded Mike Mallory to the Vancouver Warriors in exchange for Travis Burton and a second round pick in the 2020 draft there. So that's who got picked up by the... Sometimes you pick up these players and then they go back to their teams. I mean, sometimes you get trades that are made in expansion drafts here. So those are the two trades that have happened in the expansion draft here. However, I did mention at the start of the video here that the Calgary Roughnecks have made a trade here, and what happened here is at first the Rochester Knighthawks acquired Shane Simpson, actually I should say the Rochester Knighthawks actually traded Shane Simpson, who was picked up from the Calgary Roughnecks. He's going to the San Diego Seals for Turner Evans here. However, before Shane Simpson decides to get minted with his new San Diego Seals jersey, actually Shane Simpson is coming back to these guys, the Calgary Roughnecks here, as we traded Wesley Berg, who actually held out last season with a contract dispute. So we traded away Wesley Berg to get Shane Simpson back from the San Diego Seals, and also we get their first round pick in 2019 and a second round pick in 2021 here. So I'm going to say we did pretty good here. So basically we got Shane Simpson back and we traded away a guy that was holding out anyway. So that's the whole NLL expansion draft here. As I believe, if I went back to my video, because I wasn't sure on who I could see get picked up by the Calgary Roughnecks here, but I had a feeling that Dan McRae was going to be on his way out. I mean, there's obviously stories behind why some players get protected and unprotected here, but maybe Dan McRae wanted to be closer to home, but it'd be interesting to see who we're going to pick to be captain of the Calgary Roughnecks next year. Can we say Curtis Superman Dixon or Dane Dobie? Or also, we didn't get to lose Reese Dutch after all, who I thought maybe he was going to be picked up, the guy who scored the big goal for us, but he likes to live out west there. And a lot of these players in the NLL, I mean, they don't make big money like the other big leagues here. That a lot of these players, they try to play as close to home as well. But so yeah, this is the NLL expansion draft 2019, where we bring in the Rochester Knighthawks, the new Rochester Knighthawks, and the New York Riptide here. So if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe here. And right now, here we are, wrapping up Stampede Week here in Calgary here, which means in the sports world here, things are a little slow right now. I mean, generally this is the slowest week of the year when you look at all the big sports, because the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is really the only thing going on. I mean, NHL, had their freeze and frenzy, but the initial rush of day one, there hasn't been any big moves that the Calgary Flames has made that justify me making a video here. I've heard we've been close on some trades that didn't happen, but so there hasn't been any Calgary Flames news, and I'm anticipating this is going to be it for any Roughnecks news until the 2019 entry draft, which I'll do that again, and that probably won't happen until September here. And Calgary Hitmen, I doubt there's going to be any big news that's going to justify a video, and right now it's all about the Calgary Stampeders and my Calgary Stampeders this month, which that's a monthly feature which I do at the end of the month here. So what I'll try to do here in the summer here is to make out a few more personal vlogs, so I also do that on my channel here, because I'm still 6 weeks away before I go on holidays here, so there won't be any scenery videos or anything on the road here. So yeah, there'll still be content coming, but I'll try to mix up a few more content here in the summer. And say if you go to my channel weekly, you'll see something new weekly here, but I'll try to maybe pump out a few more personal vlogs here, as now we're in the summer here. And I made a long list here. It'd be nice to complete some videos here. So anyway, as I say, I'll see you in the next video, and go Next go.